Hello, everybody. We're just going to give a few minutes for people to file in here, just maybe about 2 minutes. So we appreciate your attendance and your patience. Thank you all. If you want to go ahead and drop in the chat where you're from, that's always interesting for us and for the others on the call. Be happy to see that. Part of the world are you in today? Durham, North Carolina. Never heard of it, Brandon. Never heard of it. Yeah, it's a great place.
The beautiful spot, a little bit warmer than my hometown of Minneapolis.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right, still filing in here. Got quite a few people. Appreciate your time today. I hope you find this super interesting. We're excited to share some new things with you. And we'll get started here. We'll give it one more minute, but we are recording. And so we will share this with you and you'll be able to share it with any other team members that you like. And because some good information to share, and it'll be on our website as well. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We may or may not take the full 45 minutes. It's going to be completely up to what type of questions we get at the end of this. But what we'd like to do is introduce you to, well, before we introduce you to our team, let's have a look at the agenda there, Dante. And so we will introduce our team right away here. And we're going to actually start off with Brandon here in a little bit. Brandon Anderson is our Chief Product Officer, and he's here with us live in person today, and we appreciate that. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be seeing. And then Dante Vono, who we'll also introduce in 1 second, will take you on a tour of our new authoring, which is why we are all here today. Some of you are already on new authoring. Most of you will be on it after tomorrow and in the next several weeks. So we want to be able to make sure that we show you around and, more importantly, let you know what you can expect. And even more importantly than that, let you ask your questions. Brandon then's going to talk to us about where we are going, and then we'll do some Q&A. So speaking of the Q&A, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button. Go ahead and put any questions that you have into the Q&A. And as they come up, we can answer them as they come up, and we can answer them at the end in that dedicated section for Q&A. Okay, with that then, hi, I'm Debbie McCormick. I'm the Director of Education and Implementation here at Zingtree, or all things customer engagement. And I've been with Zingtree since the very first day of the company, actually since before the first day. So between 8 and 9 years now. And I've worked really closely with our co-founders of Zingtree for over 20 years. And so very familiar with the product, very, very happy to answer your questions. But someone who is also very, very familiar with the product as our Chief Product Officer is here, and that's Brandon Anderson. Brandon comes to us with some stellar past experience with NBC Sports, Sports Engine, Amazon, Dow Jones. And then we also, so hey, say hey, Brandon.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to spending the next hour, 45 minutes to an hour with you, and hopefully we can answer your questions and share some good information about what our roadmap looks like at Zingtree.
Awesome. And Dante Vono. Dante has my dream job. He is our UX director, and it is all about how you as a customer use Zingtree, what that product looks like, what it acts like, how it is laid out, how it should be laid out, and what makes sense. So I love Dante's job, and I love the way he performs it. So Dante comes to us from Wall Street Journal, MarketWatch, and Wolters Kluwer. So has some excellent experience and personally, I can say we are very, very lucky to have both of these gentlemen on our team. So with that, Brandon, I think we will hand it off to you and get us started here.
Thanks, Debbie. Debbie, for everybody in the audience, Debbie is being extremely modest about her skills and knowledge of the product. She is actually the person that knows the most in our company. Whenever I have a question, Debbie's the person I go to. Thanks for moderating this, Debbie, and organizing it. So first, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to join us today. I appreciate that you're all very busy and that 45 minutes is very precious to you. We'll try to make the best use of time that we can during this time and make sure that we spend enough time answering your questions. And if there are questions that we can't answer here today, maybe they're too technical or very detailed and we require somebody else, we'll take that away. We'll get it back to the right people on our side, and then we'll circle back with you. So any questions on limits for this time? So I appreciate the interaction throughout the session. So as Debbie mentioned, I'm the Chief Product Officer at Zingtree. I started about a year ago. And as Debbie mentioned, Zingtree is about an 8-year-old company. But over the course of the last year, since kind of 2021, we have been investing really heavily in our product and engineering, as well as other parts of the Zingtree company. So we went out, we raised venture capital. We've been using that capital to invest. What you're going to see here today is one of the first areas that you're going to see kind of our momentum going in the product and engineering side. So we're very excited to share this work with you. It's been ongoing within our team for quite some time, where we have been working with customers to understand their problems, to really research deeply. We've been looking at data and how people are using our platform. We've been trying out different prototypes and variations of what we could do as we start to accelerate some of the new features and functionality into Zingtree, into the application that you've used for some time. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the new authoring experience. Internally, we had called it Z2 for some time. Z1 was the previous version. Z2 is a new version. We're going to call it new authoring here for this meeting and ongoing. So we have really kind of redone how we think about the new authoring. And we took a fresh look using all those information, the data points that I mentioned previously, and we compiled a list of things that we wanted to start to enhance. And one of the first things that we felt is that we had to take the user interface of what had previously been there and modernized it. It had been quite some time since that had been done. So you'll see in our new authoring experience a brand new look and feel of Zingtree that will be carried forward in all the features and functionality going forward. Dante and his team have been very busy upgrading that over the course of the last 6 months. As part of that, we're also rolling out new navigation. So in the demo today, you're going to see some navigation, particularly in the authoring experience. But in the coming weeks, actually in about a month or so from today, we'll be rolling out a larger navigation change across Zingtree that will allow you to really more easily find a lot of the features and functionality that already exist. And we're going to bring those to the forefront. We're going to organize them more effectively. Currently, our application takes quite a few clicks to move around. There's excess work that's necessary. You cognitively have to think through, now, where would they have put that? We're going to simplify a lot of that. In this version, you're going to see it. And then in about a month, we're even going to simplify it further. And then another core area is we want to make it easier to build workflows and trees within Zingtree. It's a very powerful tool, as many of you can probably attest to. But there could be a lot more that we could power that we could give it. So you're going to see some new views. You're going to see some simplified ways of building trees in this first experience. And then later on today, or in our meeting here, I'll talk about some of the roadmap items that we have that will even enhance that even further. And then finally, the last 2 points here is, Zingtree is a SOC 2 Type 2 HIPAA compliant platform. We take security extremely seriously. We take data privacy extremely seriously. And And as we continue to update our code, that's one of the underlying things that we're constantly looking at to evolve and to improve. You can't just rest on the code that you produced 3 years ago. Things continue to change, and we have changed with it. So in this new version, we've increased the performance of our platform, but also the underlying security. We continue to invest resources and time and effort into making sure that Zingtree is the most secure platform that we can produce. And then finally, this is what we're going to be using going forward. This is where we're going to be churning out new features. And there's a lot of exciting things coming. So I'm super excited. I won't, jump the gun and start telling you about them all right now, but I want to. In a couple minutes, I'll give you kind of a sneak peek of some of the new stuff coming up. But that's enough for the preamble from me. Thanks for listening. I'm going to hand this over to Dante, who's going to give you a tour of the new authoring so you can start to become a little bit more familiar with the new tooling. Dante?
That's great. Thanks, Brandon. Yes, I'm very excited to bring you on a tour of new authoring. And there's a lot of different things we could show you, but we thought the best thing to show you today would be making changes to existing trees. Definitely, it's something that you have to do, whether it's a small change or a large change, modifying those trees, keeping content up to date, making adjustments. So what we're going to do is go through a hypothetical list of some changes. We're going to start with in the classic Zingtree, the Zingtree that you know today. And I'm going to be bouncing back and forth. And we found this is the most effective way to show you the improvements of new authoring, because yes, it looks different at a high level, but it's really the improvements down at the small, minute level, the interaction with a button or a control that we feel is really improving the efficiency and the speed of working with new authoring. So that's how we're going to run this. So I'll start with finding the tree that I need to update. And your list of my trees probably looks something like this, a big long list. How do you find the tree that you're looking for? You probably have some different ways. Maybe you use the tags. Maybe you just go to where it is in the list because it's the most recent thing you worked on. You might also search on the page. So here's something you can do. You can search on this page, and here we have a few different trees that have the word script in them. The one we're looking for today is this agent script. So we'll open that one here in a moment, but I just want to quickly pop over to the new authoring. So let's do that. So here's that same list of trees in new authoring. And this is a small feature, but I like to point it out. Instead of searching on the page, which you can still do if you want to, but it'll be much more effective actually just to type the name of the tree you're looking for. So you can see what we've done here is just instantly filter the list on each keystroke. And now you can look at a much smaller list of trees, making it easier to find the thing that you're looking for. Okay, we'll come back here in a moment. But first, let's get to our first change that we have to make. So we're going to open our tree. So the change that we have to make is in this tree, and there's some numbers we have to change here. There's some square footage values here that we need to update because let's say our product or our offering has changed. So in this example here, we need to change any instance of the 7,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet. So I want to make sure that's complete and we've changed it everywhere.
I'm sorry, Dante. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Varia is saying in the Q&A that she only sees you and not the shared screen. I'm able to see this shared screen. Can anybody
Okay.
else give feedback in the chat or the Q&A? Do you see Dante's screen?
I don't see anything that I can adjust on my side. I can stop sharing and share again.
Let's just see. Brandon, do you see Dante's screen?
I do, and it looks like the chat, for the most part, people are able to see the screen.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you. And yeah, perfect. Okay, so Varia, I'm not sure what is going on for you, but it looks like everyone else can see Dante's screen. So I'm sorry to interrupt, Dante. And Varia, if you continue to have trouble, we will be sending you the recording later.
Yes, there's probably a view change to make locally in Zoom, I'm guessing.
You might want to check at the top right corner where it says view. See if you could possibly put that in.
Or try hiding the video. Maybe hiding the video will show the screen share instead.
Okay. All right, Dante, I'm sorry for the
No problem. No problem. Okay, so we're going to make some changes to this tree. We need to change 7,000 to 6,000 in all the places where it exists in this tree. So what we'll do is start by going to the first place we see it here in this node, and we're going to edit it. So we're going to change the button text like that. And we also want to change the title of the node that this links to so everything matches up. So I've made my change. Now I'm going to scroll here to the bottom. I'm going to click Save Changes. Now I'm back at the top of the list here, and the node I want is a little further down. So there's the first example. I'm going to click that. I'm back at the top of the page. I'm going to scroll down to where I need to make that change and click the Save Changes button, which is all the way at the bottom. You'll notice I'm pointing out some things here. This is something that you're used to today. So you probably don't notice it, but every time you go to a new screen in Zingtree, in Classic, you start at the top of the page. And often in this kind of behavior where you're moving between nodes and editing things as you perhaps move through the list of nodes, you're going to find yourself at the top of the page, scrolling down through the page on every single change you need to make. And that's why I'm pointing this out here, because as you'll see in a moment, we've improved that with new authoring. Okay, so that's probably enough for here for the changes on this tree. So let's go to new authoring and make those same changes and see how that looks there. So I already showed you how I can filter my list of trees. I'm going to open that. So before I make those changes, let's just take a moment to look around. What are we seeing here? You did see a screenshot of this just a moment ago as Brandon was talking. But probably the most important thing to point out with new authoring is that everything you need is on a single screen. The list of nodes is on the left. The content and information in the selected node is on the right. So there is no loading a new page, scrolling down from the top. Everything is here. You can stay here throughout the time that you're working on it. So let's see what that looks like in practice. I'm going to select these same nodes here and make my changes. So we're going to change that to 6. We're going to change that to 6. All right, now I have to save my change, right? Well, I don't have to save my change because auto saving is another improvement that we've made in new authoring. So I'll just change this back, and you can see as I'm making my changes along the way, that's happening for me automatically. So we'll change it here. And now when I need to go to the next node here to 7, I don't have to load a new page and scroll to the top. I can just scroll down the left-hand side here to the place where I want to make that change. And it's right there for me. So here in this title, we can change that to 6. I think I skipped one up here. But if I move quickly, you can see how much more efficient you can be working in this interface as you keep these two panes in view all the time and just move them around as you need to get to the areas of the tree that you're working on. Okay, so that's the example of that change. So now you had an opportunity to see navigating new authoring and the autosave. Those are a couple important features to point out. As I move back to Classic Zingtree, let me show you just one other thing here. Actually, let me open up one of these nodes. I just wanted to point out another small but important improvement, which is the utilization of the screen real estate. You can see here, when I have this content node open, most of the information I need just starts at the bottom half of the screen, and a lot of it's down here. Compare that with new authoring, where we've taken much better advantage of the screen real estate and try to maximize that screen real estate for functionality in the content that you're working on. So I just like to point that out as I sort of move back and forth between here. You can see that I'm getting content that I can work on and functionality that's relevant to this tree near the top of the screen here. Another reason for you to, or another way that you can be more efficient and not scroll around so much. Okay, so I have a separate list here of changes that I want to make. I'm not sharing that. It's just a spreadsheet that I'm using to remind me of what changes I need to make for this tree. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we have to change some button text. So let's see here. The node I want to work on is in number 14. And I want to change this, this OK button to yes on here. Right, because my node says yes and my button text does not. So we're going to make that change here. And actually, maybe let's say on this particular change, there was some other sections that maybe we wanted to look at. Maybe I just wanted to look at the action buttons, or maybe I wanted to look at the data entry fields. So that was the reason to point out this change here is the tabs. So let's move back to new authoring. And you'll notice that all the same sections are here. Let's go to the same node. You'll notice all these same sections are here, but instead of tabs, which you can only view one at a time, we've changed these into collapsible panels. So what you can do with these collapsible panels is if you're not working on one of these sections, you can simply close it. And you can leave the sections open that you want to work on. This way you can see just what you need and nothing you don't. And in fact, that same selection of panels that you've expanded or collapsed will remain the same as you move from node to node. So for example, when I move here to this node, you can see that those panels remain the same. And in fact, the scroll position even remains the same. And this is something that you'll notice is especially helpful. Let's say when you're working on a particular area. So let's scroll this into the question and answer action buttons. And you can see I've scrolled to this position. And as I move between nodes, it actually, that scroll position remains the same. So not only you're not needing to scroll down as far, you can actually kind of freeze the scroll position in view as you navigate through the tree. It's a great improvement. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to classic Zingtree, and we need to review some of the logic on this tree. We just need to, maybe we haven't worked on this in a while. We just want to refresh ourselves, like later in the tree here, we're curious if there's nodes 11 and 15. So we use the overview. We can sort of see that here. What we're wondering is, do 2 nodes go into 15? And you might know this, that you can click this and see, yep, there's just 2 nodes that go into 15. But maybe you want to see, overall, what do those nodes connect to? And this is a feature that you're surely already familiar with, the Visual Designer. So let's go to the Visual Designer and get a sense of what's happening in that area of the tree. Okay, so it's not in view here, so we have to move our way over to it. And we were looking for, oh, here we go. We are curious if what comes into 15 here. It's kind of messy like this. Maybe we can use the auto arrange to make that look a little better. We're going to have to scroll our way around. Okay, so what we're looking to do actually is bring in a third option here. So we have yes, no, and maybe is what we want to do. We just want to get a sense for how this is set up already. And I can find my way around here. And maybe when I want to make my change on there, I try to click it and I can't because I'm not in the right view. So I have to go back to designer. And I'm just showing you here some of the limitations that surely you've become familiar with and just sort of ignore, but they are things that we can improve. So just this, the struggle of me trying to find my way through the tree and then edit the node that I find. Let's see how that works in new authoring. So we haven't seen this view yet today on our webinar, but there's another view here when I have a tree open. In addition to this view, which is the list view, we have this view, which is the flowchart view. And now I have a visual representation of my tree. And you can see without me needing to click any buttons or make any adjustments, it's already arranged in a way that makes it easy to see and find the logical flow. So that change that I was looking for, that element that I was looking for, what's do 2 nodes flow into 15? Yes, they do. I can easily see it here. And in fact, I can even select a line to get a sense of, okay, yes, 11 goes into 15 and then 14 also goes into 15. So a lot easier to see. And then when I want to click on one of these and maybe make it an adjustment, I don't have to leave the view. I can leave this here. I can select the node I want and I can make the changes over on the right, which we've already seen. Another small but certainly meaningful improvement. Okay, let me check my to-do list over here. I want to make sure I show you, and to be clear, I'm not showing you everything. There's so much more that new authoring has. We just don't have time for all of it today. And we wanted to show you really, as I said, the features and functionality that help you with that day-to-day work of a common task of making updates to an existing tree. Okay, so the last thing on my to-do list here is that I need to create another button for 11. So I mentioned we have yes and no. I want to do a maybe here. So actually, we need to go back to Classic Zingtree, don't we? Because we're making all these changes first in Classic Zingtree. Okay, so let's do that. So what we want to do is go down to 11. And we're going to add our third option here, which is going to be maybe. And we don't have, this is a new node. We don't have a place to connect this to here. So we're going to save that. And hey, we're back at the top of the list. So you are definitely not going to miss doing this. Scrolling, always scrolling to the end of the list here. Okay, so here's the button we added. And it doesn't do anything because we need to make a node for it. So we're going to do that. And we're going to make it a content node. And this is going to be called maybe. Okay, there we've done it. So we have yes, no, and maybe, and we have a new. That doesn't seem too difficult. You're used to this. This is how you've always worked. Let me show you how you can do this in Z2. Get ready, because it's going to go by really quickly. So let's go back to our list view for this. It doesn't really matter. We can do either view. So we're back here in 11, and what we want to do is add a third option. So I'm going to say maybe. And you'll see as soon as I tab in here, I have an option to not just name the button, but make the node it links to. So I'm going to do that, and it's done. The thing that I just did across 3 different screens, hitting save 2 different times, has all happened within like 2 seconds. And Debbie can speak to this more, as she's really builds trees more than I do. So I feel like I'm always using this and like, Debbie will do this a lot better than me, but I'm doing my best.
You're doing great. I think, absolutely, guys, this is one of the things that we really wanted you to see. How many times do you go back and forth where you create a button, then you have to go and create the node, then you've got to connect the button to the node. All of that's done in one step now, and without having to leave the page. It really, really does speed up your workflow. I can honestly say that I create trees in probably about 35% faster, maybe even 40, than I could under classic authoring. And I know that there's a lot of people on this call who spend a lot of time in Zingtree building decision trees. And I promise you're going to appreciate some of these little changes. This one being a very, very welcome one.
Well, that is the end of our tour. There's so much more you can see, which you'll have the chance to do on your own shortly. And we can certainly point out some things if there's something that you're wondering about, particular functionality in our Q&A section at the end. But we have a few more things to cover. So I'm going to hand it back to Brandon.
Yeah, thanks, Dante. Thanks, Debbie, for that demo. Hopefully you're getting a taste of the new user experience. And as Debbie mentioned, it's clearly better once you get used to it. And we haven't taken any functionality away. We've added functionality, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to continue to simplify steps and make it easier for our core power users like yourself to, be more efficient with your day and get your scripts authored, your workflows, your decision trees done, and be able to do other value add things with your time. One thing that I want to mention before I talk about some of the other roadmap items here is where we're at in this process. So Zingtree has currently moved over 90% of our customers into new authoring. We've been actually migrating groups over in tranches since May. So our new authoring has been used extensively. It's been battle tested already by a ton of our customers. And so, but you are the bigger customers. You are the ones that are using it the most. And so we wanted to make sure we went through the smaller groups first before we got to you, make sure everything's touched up, that we have the performance down, that bugs have been removed from the system. It's not to say it's perfect. All software consistently needs work, but we feel really good about where it's at from a stability sense and from the feedback that we've received. Even Julie asked a question in the Q&A about being able to move the boxes in the visual view, the new visual view, and that's currently with our engineers because of feedback from the initial users from our new authoring. We have a number of those pieces of feedback currently with our engineers, and we're going to continue to be responsive to our customers. So in as much as you have feedback, once you have access into our new authoring and you want to let us know some ways that we can improve, we want to hear them. And we intend to continue to enhance the experience for you and make sure that it's a great software tool for you to do your jobs. So I just wanted to state that, give you a sense of where we're at and kind of how we've gotten here. The other thing that I would mention is that we have created environments for a lot of our customers to be able to test our new authoring without affecting their current work and the current production workflows and trees that they have. So if your customer success manager hasn't reached out to you yet with information, it will be forthcoming. And we want to make sure that you have the time allocated and you're able to be accustomed to it prior to moving over to it, right? So we're not going to just simply flip a switch on you and say, congratulations, you have to learn a new thing. We want to be very mindful of the time that you spend. We want to be able to reduce the kind of like the change management on your side. And we understand that it will take some time to move over, but we're excited to get your feedback and we're excited to get you using it. And hopefully the stuff that Dante showed today gives you a motivation to, get in there quickly and play around with it. So we think it's improved. I also want to talk about some of the roadmap things that we're working on. Like I said, we've been investing in our team. We've been scaling our team up since I've got to Zingtree, and we're going to continue to scale it. And we're focused on a bunch of different things. So we largely launched new authoring in May and continued to iterate over it. We've also been working on a bunch of other things within the core application, the extensions of it with integrations, and then in data and kind of the BI functions that we want to bring to market. So let me touch on a couple of those here for you. So first, as I noted with Julie's question about moving items around, there's a lot more coming in the authoring experience. Dante is consistently working with customers and prototyping our authoring experience to improve it. He's been looking at ways that you can make previews easier. He's been looking at ways that you can make your agent views or your front end self-help views better and easier to manipulate. So we've been looking at all sorts of ways of improving it, and you can expect to see a bunch of iterations. These are largely going to be smaller items that we're going to continue to iterate and improve over time, but we'll be releasing those out over the course of the next 6 months as we kind of wrap up this fiscal year. And then also tree management. So this is kind of our internal generic term for some of the capabilities that we want to bring forward. A lot of our customers, many of you I'm sure, are using Zingtree with tons of trees, tons of workflows, hard to manage, big long lists, naming conventions that you're trying to apply and teach across your cohorts of people that are using it. We're going to be bringing new tools to be able to manage trees better. So one of the bigger changes is going to be folders. So we're going to be introducing folders here in about 2 months from now, where you're going to be able to group trees and workflows into folders, right? And it's going to work a lot like a Google Drive would, if you're familiar with that tool. So you're going to be able to add, create folders, add workflows to it, be able to sort them and put them in the order that you want. So that's a really big thing, way overdue. We're also going to be adding new actions to those. So our search and replace is advanced quite a bit in this new tooling. So you're going to be able to search your trees and workflows better. You're going to be able to get to the information faster, especially when you're using like a corpus of information or variables across trees. We want to make that easier for you to manage. We're going to continue to enhance along those lines too, because we think a lot of people are using their workflows and maybe they create it once and then it spreads out and they forget maybe where it's all contained, and they don't want to go through and make a bunch of changes to everything and have to remember that. So we're going to continue to enhance different ways that you'll be able to make changes to trees in one place and then have it propagated out. And then towards the end of this year, you're going to see a bunch of enhancements around how do you push something live into production, and how do you do a true approval process, right? You know, a lot of our customers are utilizing workflows, and when they push it out, it can impact hundreds of people or thousands of users, whatever kind of use case that they're using. And so instantly you make a change and it replicates out. A lot of customers want to have a more methodical approach to releases. We're going to start adding tooling in towards the end of this year to allow you to, maybe you're an author, but somebody needs to review it and approve it before you push it live, or maybe you need to schedule that. You're going to see some enhancements in that area this year. And then in the integration piece, you know, Zingtree is oftentimes integrated with core features and functionality. Specifically, the CRMs is probably our largest use case, with people integrating us with Salesforce and Zendesk and Freshdesk and those. We're going to be enhancing those. So we're going to be rolling out new integrations with ServiceNow and Microsoft Dynamics. We've also been actively working on and have already rolled out integrations with a bunch of the CCaaS players. Contact centers as a service players. These are the 5 9s, Cisco Finesse, Cisco WebEx, Avaya Workspace. We've already put those integrations in play, and we're going to continue to enhance those. So if you're maybe utilizing Zingtree as a standalone and you have a CRM that I just listed there, and you're not utilizing us in a bi-directional way with your CRM and you want to talk to us about it, or maybe you want to extend us into your call center and you're not with some of the IVR technology and different CCaaS players, let us know. We've already made a ton of improvements on that over the course of the last 6 months and added a bunch of integrations. We're going to continue to extend that. We're also working on new capabilities for sophisticated users, right? You have the ability currently to do JavaScript, write some code and do some custom JavaScript. You can write a webhook, which is basically an unauthenticated way of pulling information into our system. We're going to be enhancing it and allowing you to do an OAuth 2 flow and having authenticated APIs that are able to connect into various data sources internally. Now, that might have been speak that went over many people's heads, I'm not sure. Or maybe I just sang the tune you wanted to hear. But if you're interested in knowing more, we're happy to talk about that. And we look forward to kind of rolling out those features over the coming months. And then lastly, I want to mention on the data and telemetry. We have been making significant investments for the last year in this area. You have not seen them. They have been behind the scenes, but we're getting to the point now that we're going to be rolling out the first features along the data and telemetry swim lane, if you will, of our roadmap. So many of our reports, you can schedule their CSVs. Maybe they're not very performant for you. In certain cases, when you have large amounts of data in your sessions, the reports can take some time to be produced. We're going to be changing all that. We have a completely new data infrastructure that's in place, and we're going to be moving over to the delivery of that. With that will come new reporting capabilities where we're going to be able to deliver reports in different ways and different formats that we do today. Today, you can get HTML, you can get CSV. In the future, you're going to be able to get those plus other formats, and then you're going to be able to deliver them into webhooks, S3, into FTPs, into emails every week, however you want to do it. And then eventually we're going to be adding new reports and visualizations. You're largely going to see that in Q4. So, and that's just by the end of this year. We have completely resourced that area. So we're going to continue to enhance that. And one of the next areas of enhancement is to create more robust customer reporting APIs that you could take data out of Zingtree and those interactions and pipe it into your BI tools that you're currently using. Maybe you're using a Power BI or Tableau or something like that. We're going to be making better connections available for our customers. That will happen largely in 2023, but I did want to mention it because it's a common request. So this is just a sprinkling of what we're working on. We're very excited. I get like super pumped to talk about this stuff, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can talk about specifically some of the things you saw in the new authoring. So I will stop and open the floor.
Thanks, Brandon. So just a couple of things before we open the Q&A is open. Go ahead and drop your questions. You guys have been active in the chat. We appreciate that. Go ahead and drop your questions into the Q&A, or go ahead and raise your hand using the raise hand button. And if you want to come off microphone, we can allow you to do that if you want to ask your questions live. While you guys are doing that, one thing I want to tell you is I've had the opportunity to use this new authoring for some time now. And I can tell you, as you are frequent authors in Zingtree, that you do not need to relearn anything you already know. Okay. In order to do this, your transition is going to be smooth. And also, you will not need to worry about any of your existing trees. Your existing trees are going to be moved over for you. And they will, we're also, as Brandon alluded to, or didn't he allude, he gave you very clear that we will, your customer success manager is going to be in touch with your organization with regard to next steps, and even giving you access to a sandbox that you can play around in that will not impact your current live trees. Okay, so just know all of that, and that we're here for you with any questions. We're happy to answer them. Okay, Sean has asked, has the bug where nodes randomly get out of order been fixed? Are you talking about, Sean, in classic authoring? Because if you are, then if so, the answer would be without a doubt, yes. Because we do not see that in new authoring. Is that right, Brandon?
I have not heard of it in new authoring, Debbie. So I mean, I can follow up with my team to get more specifics for you, and happy to do so.
I think I know what Sean is talking about, and it is a very edge case where occasionally you'll drag a node up and down in classic authoring to put it in a certain position that you want it, and then you would come back and you may see it move to another position or back to where it was. We have not seen that happen in new authoring. And if it is still happening in classic authoring, let us know and we can resolve that. But as what Dante's showing on his screen here is how you can move the nodes up and down, and they will stay there. This is very similar to what you have in classic, being able to move them around. Now, this does not impact the order in which the end user goes through the tree. This is just for your own organization. The order that the end user goes through the tree is completely mapped out by your connections to buttons, no matter where they may live in the list or no matter what number they may be. Oh, will it renumber the nodes when we move them? Or how about when you remove them? So I know that when I delete a node, and that node was number 3 in classic authoring, I can never have a number 3 again. So, but in new authoring, they will renumber. But however, when you move them up and down in a list, they will not renumber. And those are just for identification purposes only. They do not impact your tree. Brandon, if you had anything you wanted to add to that, or did I miss anything there?
I don't, but Dante might. I know that we have talked about that in the past. Dante, is there anything that you would add on that?
It's nothing that we've started work on, but it's something that we hear from time to time. Not often though, the node ordering.
Yeah, things like that. I just want to note that we want your feedback on it. So if you could take the time, we promise to take it and talk about it. And if we feel like it's going to benefit a bunch of customers, then we'll make plans to roll it out. So we're building for you. And so if we're not responsive for your needs, then we're doing something wrong. So I would just put in that pitch. And then Debbie, if I may, Julie asked a great question, which was what it was the rollout for the folders for tree management. The current estimated time frame is October. However, I want to put in a little note on Dante's behalf. We are currently recruiting people to review our prototype. So if you want to have a sneak peek of how we've designed it and work with our prototype, if you could please reach out after this meeting, we would be happy to have you included in our discussion and give you a trial, and you can give feedback, and then we'll be incorporating that feedback into the final product. So Julie, if that's something of interest to you, please, we would love to have you in our prototype group.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Brandon. And we have one last question here. Well, now one more. We're happy to stay on as long as you guys want to. We partner with Zendesk. This is from David. We partner with Zendesk and use the agent scripting app specifically. Are there any plans to add features or improve on this app?
Yeah, so David, what I'm understanding of your question is that you're using Zingtree with Zendesk, right? I'm assuming that's what the question really means, and the answer is yes. We're going to be enhancing all these key integrations. So in the past, we largely built these integrations, got them up and going, and then just started getting feedback, and maybe we fixed some bugs. But you're going to start to see enhancements. So if you require enhancements or things that you would like to see, we welcome them. We've been actively, I know this is not your CRM, but we've been actively rolling out features every couple of weeks on our Salesforce integration, including being able to use email templates within Salesforce, being able to dig down multiple levels in objects, being able to query objects that are unrelated to the object you're on. We intend to do the similar thing to Zendesk, Freshdesk, and the other CRMs that I mentioned we are currently working towards, which are Microsoft Dynamics and ServiceNow. And if you have other CRMs that you're currently using, whether it's homegrown or another one that I didn't mention, and you'd like for us to consider it, again, we would take that feedback. We occasionally hear of Zoho and Sugar CRM and some of the others. So if these are ones that are of interest to you, yeah. we would absolutely take your feedback. We try our best to gauge demand in our customer base on it, but we need feedback to be able to bring that forward.
And also, so it was also asked, how do we report technical issues or questions to the Zingtree team? Everybody on this call has a dedicated customer success manager. And so that is likely either Hunter Williams or Oksana Koch or Jennifer Sublet. But you also, on the Zingtree website, when you're authoring in Zingtree, you see that little support button. Right from there, you can go into our help center. The help center is help.zingtree.com. You're able to submit support requests through there. But for you guys, we would really like to keep your customer success manager involved and track the type of issues that you're having. So Dante, if you just want to click that go to knowledge base there and click building trees, for example. And then that's going to take you to our help center. And then at the very top right, you have that submit a request. But this help center's search is excellent. You'll be able to search and find answers to your questions, but we want your feedback. You're going to get a feedback request in app, probably about 7 days after you are migrated over, depending on your usage and how much you've used it. Then we're going to pop something in front of you that says, hey, we really want your feedback on this migration. How do you like it? And you're free to give us as much information there as you like. And believe me, we do take every single one of those and read those. And so we do appreciate them very much. Okay, with that, we are at the end of our time and your time is valuable. And so this has been great. Again, we will send out the recording. So happy that you guys were here with us, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on this. I promise you, you're really going to like it when you do. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Have a great day. Thank you very much.
All right.